My name is Kenny Rains, and today we're going to be talking through how to get a quote or submitting a request for quote, an RFQ. So what all do you need in order to get a quote? Typically, deals start out with a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA. You need prints with proper tolerancing. We need to know how many or what the quantities that you're looking for are, what sort of time frame, as well as any documentation, quality requirements or QUAPs, and then any terms and conditions specific to your organization. An NDA tends to be the first step before any prints are shared. And we have an NDA at LaCroix that we can send, but typically customers have their own NDAs that they will send to us, and then we have a compliance manager that can sign off on our non-disclosure agreements that we agree to. So let's talk about prints. So the print is how you properly describe all of the aspects of the optic that you are wanting manufactured. So that is the geometry, tolerances, material, as well as coatings. Over here I have an ISO 10110 print, and we don't really have a specific template that we require, so just send whatever print that you can. I've had everything from ISO 10110 to people write out the optic that they want on a napkin. So just make sure that you properly describe what you want to have manufactured. So the next step is making sure that your optic is properly toleranced. There's two main categories. There's geometric tolerancing and there's optical tolerancing. As far as the geometry, that's all of the physical characteristics of the lens, including center thickness, diameter, wedge, sag, or the chord of a concave radii, the two radii on a spherical element, bevels, surface quality, and any other geometric dimensions. For the optical tolerances, there's power, irregularity, surface roughness, and optical deviation. We have our tolerance chart over here to the right. You can download this on our website, but it gives you a good idea of where to start. Typically, I would advise that you only want to have one of these columns, but not all of these columns. So if you need a couple values from high precision, just take one or two of them and then try to go to precision or standard wherever else you can. It becomes exponentially more difficult the more high precision tolerances that you have on your optic. So a joke that I tell some of our customers is you can have your optics good, fast, or cheap. You get to pick two of the three. You can have it good and fast, but it won't be cheap. You can have it fast and cheap, but it won't be good. You can have it good and cheap, but it won't be fast. Now, we do try to have all three at LaCroix, but it's just something to keep in mind that you need to specify what do you need. So we'll start out with quantities. What type of quantities do you need in regards to prototypes? Do you need 5? Do you need 10? Do you only need 1? For volume, is your end goal with this in a year or two down the road that you want to have 100 or 1,000 or maybe 10,000 estimated annual use of these optics? As well as we need to know when do you need them. So, whether that is you need the quote this week, whether you need the quote in a week. I would specify when you need the quote back by, ideally, and when you need a first delivery of optics. Do you need them in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks? Let us know, and we can try to work out a deal that helps satisfy that requirement. And a big thing that can help in volume is having a proposed schedule. If you're ordering 1,000, do you need all 1,000 at the same time, or do you want them scheduled out over the course of 6 months? And then a target price on volume. Sometimes you may be expecting optics much cheaper than what we or your other manufacturer can produce, and so it's good to know up front if there is a target price, just so that way we can quickly tell you whether it's feasible or not. Now comes inspection data. This is something that's rarely quantified up front, but it's really good to know what do you actually need up front so that way we can include it in the quote. Now standard, we're going to include a coating chart, a material certification, a certificate of conformance, and coating abrasion and adhesion testing. Now optionally, you may want a first article inspection, environmental testing. You may need 100% inspection data and all the parts serialized so you know which part goes to which inspection data. You may need inspection data on every geometric and optical tolerance on the part, or you may just need to know what the diameter and center thickness is. Let us know. We can work out a deal for that. You may need interferograms or aspheric data, including profilometer traces, 3D data, or a laser damage certification. But all of this needs to be specified as it is not included. Paperwork. We need to know if there is a quality document that's called out on the print or in the quote. We need to have that so we can read through it before we quote the optic. A lot of times what happens is there's a document required or called out, but we don't actually see it until an order shows up, and it may be completely different than what we originally anticipated. So ideally we would know that information up front, as well as any terms and conditions or any other paperwork. So with all that said, that's what you need to get a quote or submit a request for quote, RFQ. So keep that in mind the next time that you need a quote for optics. Thank you.